Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this tutorial. Today we are going to be looking at Express.js. Express.js is a Node.js framework that is used to build simple APIs, websites, web apps, backend, services, and all that. With Express.js, you don't need to worry about low-level protocols. You don't need to start using the HTTP module. Express takes care of that out of the box. Express also provides a minimal interface to build our applications. It gives us tools that are required to build our apps to make sure that our apps are served the way we want. It takes less time to write Express applications than to write the same application in Node.js. Express can be used to build both back-end and front-end application using using templates like EJS, handlebars. Express was developed by TJ Holloway-Chuck and is maintained by the Node.js Foundation with several numerous open source contributors. Express can be used to handle HTTP requests like get, post, put, and delete. In this tutorial, we are going to be building a simple server with Express. The server will return data to us when we call the specific route that data is on. So let's move on to creating that application right now. To start, first of all, you need to install some software. To start, first of all, we need to install some software. Like we did in the previous tutorial, all we need to do, we just need to now to start, all we need to do is cd into our projects folder and then make a directory. We can call it Express server. Cd into that directory. Let me just bump that up a bit. And then this is where we'll create our Express server, just like we did in the first tutorial. There are two ways to actually implement an Express server or create an Express application. You can use, number one, you can use the Express generator, which will configure everything you need for you. Or two, you can manually do it, create your own folders, create your own files, and then present your server, or rather serve your files. We'll be going the manual routes in this tutorial, but if you want to check out how to do it with Express server, all you need to do is just do npm install that's global Express generator. So when you press enter, it installs Express generator in your global scope, and then you can use that Express generator. You can just say Express, the name of your application, or Express in this current folder. But because we are doing this manually, we are going to take it step by step. Now, if you are inside the folder that you want to use to host your server, you just need to do npm init first. Remember that command that we did in the previous tutorial? Npm init or yarn init, depending on what you have. I prefer yarn init -y, and it will generate a package.json in your folder. So if you have Visual Studio Code installed, you can just do code dots, and it will open that folder in Visual Studio Code. If you don't have Visual Studio, you could try it with Atom, the same, or Sublime. If it's added to your path, you can do Sublime dot or Atom dot. Right now we have our, let me bump this up. We have our package.json, right? In our package, just like in the previous tutorial, package.json contains all this. The difference between using npm init and yarn init is that npm init will add things, extra things like scripts into your package.json, whereas yarn init will not do that. So, or at least the version of yarn init I'm using. So you can manually add it, scripts. So what we want here, right, is the start script, and then you say node app.js. I'll be using app.js. Let's change this our main name to app.js. Okay, that's all we need to do in our package.json. Now we can to use Express, right? You need to install Express. So kindly open your terminal once again and do yarn add Express, or if you are using npm, you can use npm install Express. That will install Express for you. So since I'm using yarn, I'll just do yarn add Express. That will install Express and all the dependencies into our application. Now if you open your folder again, you'll see that in your package.json has added the dependency Express, and currently we are using Express 4.17.1. And then also has added a node modules folder. Node modules contains all the modules that are our package, our dependencies, and their own dependencies need to successfully run this package. And then we have a yarn.log where all the softwares, all the dependencies and their dependencies are currently recorded, so that you can give this folder to anybody, and when they run yarn, it will install the same dependency and the version that you've installed, so that they can continue working, so that you have the same dependency across board. So to start this project, we need to add app.js file. App.js file. To use Express to create a web server is very easy. You will see how easy it is to simply write a web server in Express. Now, to start, we just need to require the Express Express package or Express module. Express equals to require Express. Now we need to instantiate the Express, create an instance of the Express. So we can use const app equals to Express. Now, let me explain the concept of routes. Routes are, if you have a Twitter application, if you're on Twitter, right, and you go to a URL, we have Twitter as the domain name. Then we are currently on Hacksultan page here. You have Twitter as the domain name, and then you have Hacksultan as the route. So this is the domain name, and this is the route. So we need to create, and this route points to Hacksultan page. This route points to the founder of DevCareers page. So the concept of route is anything you can append to your domain name that will take you to a particular resource. So in Express, we use routes to direct us to the correct resource that we need. Using app versus the app dot the verb name you want to serve. Remember, we have verb names like get, we have verb name like put, we have verb name like patch, we have verb name like post, we have verb name like delete. In another tutorial, we will explain the difference between these verb names, but for the sake of this tutorial, we are just going to be using the get verb name. All right. So if I say app.get, then I need to supply the route. On Twitter, I need to supply the route. On Twitter, the page we visited on Twitter, Hacksultan is the route, while twitter.com is the domain name. So what we need to do here essentially is do something like we do not add the domain name to our routes. We only add the route aspect. We only add the route to this line. So we can do like Hacksultan, right? And then we need to provide it what we call a callback. A callback is a function that will handle the it's a function that will handle the return for whatever the app.get method return. That's a callback. This callback, the function will be called whenever anybody browses to this specific route, right? So what we do here is to provide a function. You could use function, and the function take two parameters, request and response, right? And then you provide a function that way. So the request contains all the request parameters, contain all the information about the request that the user is sending to your application, while the response is a handler that you use to send back information to the user, right? So here now we are just going to send a string, just like we did in the previous application, to the user. So you could do something like res.send hello world. Let's spell word where code newbies. That's all you need to do. Exactly what we did in the previous application. The only difference is that we are creating a Hacksultan route. So we could just add this is Hacksultan. Welcome to DevCareers. Let me spell that way. Okay, that's all you need to do. The last thing you need to do is to listen to a specific port. So in this application, we are going to be listening to port 3000. So all we need to do is let's use port 5000 instead. App.listen 3000, and you also provided a callback. The callback takes no parameter. You could just say console.log application started on port 3. Oh, sorry, that was supposed to be 5000. Let's change this port to 5000. That's all you need to do. Once you save this file, you can go back to your terminal and run npm run start, or run start depending on what you are using. So you can see it says application starts, will change that it's supposed to be started on port 5000. Now if you navigate to your local host port 5000, there's an error. Why is there an error? Because you are trying to access the root route of your application. What does that mean? You have not supplied another route. This is the default route. This is the root route, which is represented by this /. The only route that we have defined is route. So to be able to see this route, we need to go back to our browser and add route. And when we press enter, that's it. We receive exactly what we expect to be receiving. That's how to define an Express server or an Express application. Let's just run through it once more, and then we are done with today's tutorial. So first of all, you install Express in your application using yarn add Express, right? You open your application in your code editor. You import Express into your code editor using const Express = require Express. You create an instance of Express and assign it to the app variable. To create a route, use app.get and you pass it the route name. The app.get function takes a callback function which has two parameters, request and response. You use the request contains information about the request sent by the user, while response is what you use to send information back to the user. In this instance, we are sending a simple string saying, "Hello world code newbies. This is Sultan. Welcome to DevCareers." After that, you make the server listing on port 5000 and you pass it another callback function that simply log application started on port 5000. That's all you need to do to start an Express application. That's all you need to do to write an Express API. In the next lecture, we'll be going through more of how to use Express post method, how to use Express patch or put method, and how to use Express delete method, verbs or functions to do various kind of and different kind of HTTP requests. Thank you very much. See you next lecture.